Record. Good. And we're on.
Very good.
Okay.
Excellent.
We'd like to call the Rye-Town Park Commission meeting August 16th to order. Okay.
That's good, Bishop.
Something is wrong here.
No, you're fine. You turn the monitor off, right?
Okay.
That's what you need to do.
All right.
You should be fine.
All right. Good. Sorry about that. At the Rye-Town Park Commission meeting, August 16th, and roll call. Replacing President Carvin is Deputy Supervisor William Villanova.
Here.
Mayor French.
Here.
Mayor Feinstein.
Here.
We are expecting Mayor Pilla, and Commissioner Salinitro and Commissioner Sach will be absent. They are both away.
Very good. Folks, please stand. Join in the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for just a moment. I just want to have a moment of silence. Harrison, our neighboring community, lost a true asset and a good friend to us, Joe Acasella. Thank you. Okay. We're going to dispense with item 3, the approval of minutes for lack of a quorum, and we're going to move right into comments from the public. Anybody from the public have anything to say? Okay. The number 5, Walk Rye History Sign Request. Laura Brett. Is Laura here?
She's on her way. She just texted. She'll be here in a minute.
She'll be here in a minute.
Very good. Manager's report. Mr. Gioffre.
Good evening. All of you received my report.
Yep.
Basically, I don't know whether I should go through this by detail or you just want to ask questions. How do you want to work?
I would hit the highlights for each category that you have here. So you've got, I don't know, 5 or 6 categories. Just hit the highlights that you want to speak
Yeah,
about.
that's basically what I was going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. You were going to say something?
No, that's what I do, hit the highlights.
Yeah,
Public.
the number of all recorded cars increased from 13,000 to 15,000, 13,500 to 15,700. Resident permit daytime parking increased from 21 to 4,000. Now that's a signal that the resident prices are working well. Non-resident daytime figures decreased slightly, 7,300 by about 100, 7,200. So again, I say it's a good signal in our strategy. Permit resident parking income increased only $2,700. It should be noted that senior permit holders get free parking, and that's why the number of 2,700. While non-resident parking was down less than 100 cars, the non-resident parking income was down almost $9,000. That's in part. This is all for the month of July. That's in part due to the fact that last year we had a $10 per car holiday night parking rate, which brought in an additional 250 cars and $2,490. This year we did not. It's also due to volleyball player that has prior parking arrangements. So on Monday nights, there's an influx of anywhere from 400 to 600 cars because there's 400 volleyball players. It's a large league, and that number seems to be rising. So that's a very successful project for the summer. The number of people paying for beach access increased significantly. The totals were 22,000 to 25,000. Resident permit holders increased from 2,600 to 5,500. That's doubled. So residents are now flocking back to the beach. I'd have to say it has to do with the prices. That would be my estimation. And non-resident night beach goers increased slightly from 20,034 to 20,090. The best beach access income increase was in night beach goers. When we implemented the $2 per for the beach on fireworks nights, it turned out to be pretty successful. We get a lot of complaints, especially from Rye residents. Why should we be paying $2? But in order to have, whether we charge them or not, we're going to have security there, maintenance there, parking there, and supervisory. So it's been a successful input into our fee schedule.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that a new procedure, or had we done that in the past?
No, we started that toward the end of last year as an experiment, and we continued it this year, and it's working. People seem to, well, I have to tell you, there's 3 times as many people that are on the beach than there are that wait along the path that don't want to pay the $2. But they seem to want to be on the beach during fireworks. And that was something that we thought we should implement. Put a cashier there. We generally have 3 security guys, and then anywhere from 4 to 6 parking guys, because we spill over into the park and we need to keep control of the cars going through the park.
Yeah, I would just note, before we roll over that policy next year and just assume, I think we should have it as an agenda item before the next season kicks off, so we fully hear from the public, because I get the complaints as well. And I think they're legitimate to some extent. You should be able to go on the beach as a resident, but I understand we can't differentiate between residents, non-residents, at that
Permit holders are different.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's this is a pilot. Let's revisit it.
Okay. It's still a pilot, and it's a good point. Bring it up for discussion next year, and maybe the commission might want to exempt residents.
I think that you shouldn't wait until next year to start to have that discussion.
We only have 4 more.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Let the beach season run its course, and at the end of 2011, start that conversation. Don't wait until 2012.
No, that's a good suggestion,
Yeah.
and I think it's worth the discussion.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Maintenance, along with all our regular cleaning, painting, bulb replacement, battery replacement, weeding, and other ongoing tasks, we created 2 ramps on the tunnel. It seems that when there's heavy rain, puddles develop along the entrance to each tunnel. So we were trying to figure a way, and people don't want to go through the water because it's a little dirty from debris. So we built two little wooden ramps, stained them so that they can't get splinters, and it seems to be working out very well. And then I move on here to, we created 3 more parking spaces. We had a couple of requests for handicap spaces closer to the pavilions. So what I did is I took 3 of Seaside Johnny's spaces, and of course if it's his client they can park there too, and we put 3 more over there. So we have more than what we're legally supposed to have down there.
So we're talking about the entrance that's that one section of parking that comes right up to the pavilion with a little arched opening. Mm-hmm. Now, for me, that's the most logical place to have all the handicap parking. The handicap parking that's to the right by the little turnabout.
The ramp.
That ramp there, I think the height there is excessive, and I don't think that ramp, the height of that, the incline of that ramp meets ADA standards. That area there, that's where that handicap parking should be. That's the key spot.
That's where it was, and when we sat down and negotiated with Johnny Ambrose on that, and Mayor French was part of that discussion, we had given those spaces to him for his customers. So regardless of whether we're filling our whole area, those spaces have signs there specifically for him and his customers parked there. I put those 3 there for just for specific handicapped people that needed to be close to that wall. You're right. it's something that's going to be difficult to.
Well, I think that that's something you should have on the agenda at the end of at the close of the season. We're talking about beach access, and I remember a couple of meetings where the parking attendants or staff were instructed that if there was someone who was handicapped and had to park, and there was a difficulty, that the staff will make every effort to have one of the golf carts or make an accommodation to get them parked close. So
We do that.
right,
And
I know that's what you do, but
We do.
in lieu of that, let's see what we can do at the end of the year to really concentrate on having the parking, because that's where it belongs.
I want to add to that if I see that all our handicap spaces are full and someone comes in and there are open spaces by Seaside Johnny's, I'll put them in there.
Good.
But I'll always make sure I take care of his customers somewhere around that area. So it's a juggling act that I do every weekend.
Very good. Thank you.
Am I finished?
No, but thank you for that.
All right. We only had one closing this year, 2 in one day on July 4th. I had to close the park for 45 minutes. We regrouped, we backfilled, and then we reopened. And then once we filled up again, I had to close it for another 45 minutes, and then we backfilled, and it worked out well. So those were the only times that parking had to backfill. Safety and security, we've been working closely, and now Lieutenant Falk is back. He's been a good asset to work with. And the county police, we've got a good working relationships with both. We've only had to issue 2 warnings to dogs off the leash during the hours after 9 o'clock. And we've had quite a bit of problems with, I guess they're kids, but they knocked our fence down on the south end. They broke our shower, our sink faucets. They robbed the sink faucets. Rope stakes have been knocked down. Golf cart garage door was broken. Nothing was taken, but the door was broken. Vandals, that's the word I was looking for, vandalism. That's something, another thing maybe we need to discuss. Either we need to put somebody there through the night till 3, 4 o'clock or something like that, because that's when they happen after our guys leave 12 or 1 o'clock. And it's something we need to really focus in on. We do still have cars that remain in our lot, even though they're going to the Pier Restaurant. Now, I need to discuss this with the commission, but I found that, or Joe Nito found, that the county police are willing to ticket these people if necessary. And it's something that this commission would need to discuss and possibly embark upon. And the other thing is well, I don't want to belabor the dogs off leashes before 9 o'clock, but that's another area that could happen in. As far as for the whole season, we've caught quite a few youths jumping the fence. We've caught them on the beach. Our bands have come in extremely helpful, because we have security walk the beach every hour, and if somebody doesn't have a band, it means they snuck in. And when we find that, we give them the opportunity to buy it, or we walk them out of the park. So it's been working very well, the bands. We've only had minor injuries of cuts, scrapes, jellyfish stings, and we've had 3 lost children, which we found. We didn't have to go to Code Red. And we've had 3 lost parents. I don't know what that's about. So we've had 2 instances where we had to escort a group of disorderly teenagers off the beach and out of the park. When I make the decision to take someone off the beach, I usually have security follow them out of the park because I have a tendency to try to get back on. And so that's what we do. Personnel, we had to fill 2. We had 2 of our senior guards who worked nights. move on, so we backfilled those, and we just had one of our senior security guys go back to college. We didn't backfill that. Cultural events, which Bill usually handles, we had 3 successful. Our concerts are drawing more people, and what we're beginning to see is who draws the most. And we've had some successful concerts. We have 3 more events to go. In fact, one is tonight at 7:30. It costs the town $6,400, but the friends chip in $1,200, and that's how we're able to have a successful concert series at the park, with attendance seem to be picking up. That's to keep the park relevant, and it's important for public relations and enjoyment by both senior communities and our younger groups. We did have Shakespeare in the park for the first time, and I was pleasantly surprised. There was at least 300 people that came to see it, and all enjoyed it for the most part, and it was a good experiment, and maybe they'll be back. That's our lawn chair theater. And then going down to Monday evening volleyball, they've grown substantially, and it's very well organized. The fellow that runs that is extremely structured. He structures it well. I don't have any problems with the volleyball players. They come in, they shoot in, they come, they go. I don't mean driving fast. They get here on time and they leave by dark. And so that turned out to be, and that's about it.
The key thing there, and excuse me 1 second, the volleyball is obviously a long-standing relationship with Rydtown Park. They don't abuse the relationship. They come there, they use the beach for their games, and when sundown comes, when they can't play no more, they're gone.
They're gone.
Right.
And the only time they have rainouts, when they have a rainout, they come the following Tuesday. I have not had any misbehavior on the part of these. It's a good relationship, and it contributes to the overall use of the park. And they take a part of the beach that's not used. So,
right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor Feinstein, anything you want to add?
To this, no.
I had some questions. The dumpster. I've gotten some emails about the dumpster, having it picked up more often, I guess because of the smell. It smells right in the middle of the park there. Portchester picks that up, correct?
Fridays.
Can you follow up with Mayor Pilla to see, because he's been copying on some of the emails I have, to see if they can change the time? I don't know if it's the hours that they pick it up, or they need to pick it up more frequently.
I know that we had a few complaints about them picking up too early because of the noise that the truck makes. It's a roll-on, roll-off.
Okay.
So, it's quite loud. And I think that was pushed back a little bit. I think, Frank, tell me if I'm wrong, we can call for a pickup pretty much any time
we can call for a pickup anytime we want. It's scheduled for 3 times a week,
okay,
or more, depending on how full it is. But I can make a phone call, say tonight for tomorrow. Say, look, can you be, at the park at 7:15, 7:30 a.m. instead of the early? I don't know. I guess they were going in like 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning.
Okay. So let's confirm that then.
Okay.
Harrison, I spoke with 2 members of the village board. I guess the town village board. They thought we still had the reciprocal arrangement in terms of we get access to their pools, they get resident status to the beach. They also now have a dog park that is open, that they're taking up to 100 permits for non-residents. So I think that's a relationship we want to explore, actually initiate into next year, where maybe we give Harrison residents resident status in terms of our pricing. And in return, we get resident status, access to their pools, I'm talking about city and town residents,
West Harrison.
as well as the dog park.
I have a question about that. I've been on this commission now for 3 years. It's the first I've ever heard about Harrison that they ever had resident status. So it goes back a really long time ago.
way before me.
Town of America had it also.
Harsh one.
How long,
During the Morbido reign, and I think he even extended it. It was definitely the town of Mamaroneck. It was definitely
interesting.
Harrison.
It's not the standard, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're this board.
Yeah, I have.
Operating
Can
clear,
I tell you? I have never heard it until
Yeah.
Mayor French had mentioned it to the commission. And my question is, back on that note, we're doing a really good job of trying to analyze how many residents we have and non-residents. I will interject. I do have one comment. I think the goal that we set this year, which was to have more attendance of residents, has really been met, and I think that is just fabulous. I know that there are a lot of negative articles in the press these days about the park, but one of the goals has certainly been satisfied. So I give kudos to whomever for accomplishing that, whether it be to the commission or the staff or all of us, to the representatives of the city and who have been so much involved to talk about how we bring the residents back to the park. But getting back to the Harrison issue, the only way, to me, that one could be analyzed is to see how many residents in Harrison use it to begin with, and what the trade-off would be, how much projected revenue would be lost. I hate to do this all by, revenue, but why not Mamaroneck, Harrison? Why not then, this community? And Harrison is very large. It also encompasses the downtown area purchase. So I think you'd
And
have
West
to do
Harrison.
West Harrison.
West Harrison.
So you'd really have to do an analysis of how many people are drawn up. I have a completely open mind, but it is a little bit of a financial and also a municipal cooperation issue as well.
Yeah.
But I think that analysis would have to go into the mix.
Well, partially, you have partial information in the permit sales numbers where you can see that this year we've got 139, 148 non-resident permits.
But we don't know where they're from.
Well, we
But
will.
you could do that.
We will.
And actually, we're still going to get information about that. I think
Yes.
I'd ask for the different
Absolutely,
municipalities.
yes, absolutely.
And that would be really helpful for the different municipalities. I
Sure.
certainly want to see the ones within the town of Rye.
Sure.
But you're right, Mayor French. If you look at Harrison, you also have to really look, if nothing else, to Mamaroneck as well, which is another, as you said before, adjoining municipality.
And
So we
they'd
look-
have to give us a service in return. I'm really looking at the weekday where the volume is low. I think when you did have non-resident pricing, I think during the week you had a lot of people from Harrison come for beach access. So let's do the analysis. Open mind.
Yeah, that's all. I just want to make sure there's a complete analysis.
We would need the analysis, yeah. And we'll be able to differentiate by the end of the year.
And we really should get that also
And I know you
analysis of the
requested
breakdown
that.
with the permits, where their non-residents come from and where the residents come from. It's really helpful, gives at least a little bit of an idea. And as long as we're talking about permits and the fact that they went out early, the information, obviously, we've seen the difference.
It made a big difference.
Big difference. So we have to make sure that we set those fees again early next year.
On that topic, Mr. Gioffre or Bishop, Mr. Nowotnik, if you can just include in that analysis each day the breakdown of how many spaces were left open, parking spaces left open. Because, ultimately we can sell the heck out of non-resident and resident parking permits, but if we don't have the place to park the car, then we'll get
I can tell you off the top of my head, we generally, during the week, we go into the park on Monday nights when there's volleyball. We're talking about 400 to 600 cars. But for the most part, we go into the park, and most of the year we've only gone up maybe 2/3 of the way to the rope that we just put up there. So there's at least, I would say, a good 300 spaces left. So so that would probably be good to include that into, and that's prior to the rope.
And I could say to you that we know categorically that weekdays we have plenty of latent capacity on weekdays. Our weekends, every now and then, it's a push, but on
the first come, first serve, and get a permit.
Yeah.
All right, so continue.
Dennis.
Let the record show that Mayor Pilla has arrived.
Sorry, Rick.
We now have a quorum.
You also mentioned the late parking. They should just write tickets. There's nothing for us to approve, right? If they're in there late, can the county?
Yeah, well, no, we've been exploring possibly putting a shoe on the cars. It's a small shoe Mr. Nito did some research on it.
Right.
And it would have a code, and at 8 a.m. the following morning, in other words, these people will not be able to get their cars out until 8 a.m. the following morning. They would call a certain number, and we'd give them the code to take the boot off. But at the same time, we would have somebody there to post the fine. So it's something we've been holding off on, and we're going to need to consider for next year.
Okay.
I've spoken to Johnny Ambrose about his customers at Pier, and I asked him if he could make some announcements that we're approaching 12 midnight and Ride-Town's closing their park, but we'll still have 20, 25 cars hanging in there for the whole night.
That's the
Is it mostly-
alternate boot camp.
Is it mostly weekends that this is transpiring?
Yeah, when he has bands there.
Yeah.
Do we know that those cars are in fact Pier to keep our customers?
Because our security guys go to Seaside Johnny's and make sure it's empty, and maybe a couple of them will be his employees, but we try to have them out of there by midnight.
Right.
You also
So
mentioned...
it's more than likely, Bishop, Pier restaurant customers. Because I see them walking down the path.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm sorry I'm joining you late, and I hope you haven't covered this already. Regarding this booting and the parking situation we're talking about here, have we considered the viability of requesting the Rye Police to just issue, like, parking violations that are enforceable traffic summonses, or maybe a little more convenient to the people? We get the revenue, it's just you're not shaking them down, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think how we look at these security meetings is have Joe work directly with Lieutenant Falk on any of those types of...
Yeah, I would recommend that, we take a more passive, if you will, approach towards parking enforcement. I mean, you whack somebody with a $50 ticket once or twice, they don't do it the third time. And it's a little less intrusive than booting. Speaking personally, my preference.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
That'd be my preference for us to pursue
That
that.
is one of the options.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Because it says the park closes at 12, that's what it's well, right?
Yeah, and if we did that, we'd have to post that if you're not out here by 12, you're susceptible to...
Well, either way, right.
Mm-hmm. And I think we would owe it to Mr. Ambrose to make sure that he had a little advance warning if we were going to go down this road, so that he could come up with a plan for his own customers, because...
Well, Bishop, you mentioned the possibility of him keeping one of his security guys there, say from 1 to 3 a.m. or something.
Well, not his guys, but him picking up the shift cost of us having...
Yeah, all right. My mistake.
Us adding another shift, which, by the way, may help us with our vandalism.
My mistake.
If these are his customers, have him pick up the cost of keeping a security guard until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Is that something
You know what, we're talking, today is August 16th.
Yeah.
So the park, I think these are recommendations
For
that should
next
come
year.
back
12.
for next year as, the omnibus type of recommendations.
I agree with Mayor Feinstein.
Okay.
This is...
It's not going to happen this
pick
season.
up at the end of the season.
But I
Yeah,
just
it's a
need to
little late.
punctuate
Yeah.
that point, though, is
But we should-
the reason why we
It's good to
looked
be
at this is
proactive.
because people were making noise in the parking lot after 12. So I think the focus has to be cars out of the park at 12. We're not going to extend hours that people can park. If they want to park, they can park over at Playland if they're at the Pier Restaurant.
Well, that's where they should be parking,
Right.
but after a certain time, we don't charge, and they know that, whereas Playland still charges.
Do we gate the exit?
When our guards leave, but if there's cars
Take it in and
left,
take
yeah,
the
when our
Yeah,
guards,
that's what we should be
when our
doing.
guards leave. But all these here, I'll present the commission with a list of options, and then next year we'll have to deal with it.
And then just kudos on the concerts. They absolutely make the park relevant. When I hear across the city different demographics talking about the park that night and people planning to go, it's a great thing. What, $6,000 you mentioned? I think we should do more of them and more activities like that.
And I get 50 to 100 calls day before, 2 days before the concert.
I have a quick question about that, maybe because I could never go on a Tuesday since I always have meetings Tuesday nights. Have we ever considered doing a different day, like a Wednesday? I mean, it's always been Tuesday. Is Tuesday the optimum day? I'm just curious, what's the attendance at the park like?
The only
And
other-
are we trying to capture more people?
Right, the only other option we have is a Thursday. On Monday nights, we have volleyball, which is
Right,
somewhere in the
right,
neighborhood of 200 to 300 cars. On Wednesday night, you have fireworks. On Friday night, you
Right.
have fireworks.
Then
Yeah.
Thursday,
So your choice
You're right.
is Tuesday and
I forgot.
Thursday.
Yeah, okay.
I'm done. That's it.
Okay, the financial report,